winner Muhammad Yunus has been approached by Bangladesh's student protest movement to be a special advisor to the new interim government.
She fled in a helicopter and escaped to India.
Students marched on the streets against quotas in public sector jobs.
Today, Britain's National Crime Agency has carried out one of its largest ever assets freezes in a civil investigation. A staggering £170 million worth of UK properties tied to Saifuzzaman Chowdhury, a close ally of deposed Bangladeshi leader Sheikh Hasina, have been frozen under court orders. This action came at the request of Bangladesh's interim government, led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, as part of a sweeping anti-corruption crackdown following a student-led revolution earlier this year. But how did billions in alleged overseas wealth land in UK homes, and what does this mean for international crime, diplomacy and justice? Today in the Crime Channel, we unpack the story behind Britain's biggest political asset freeze this year. At the centre is Saifuzzaman Chowdhury, former Bangladeshi land minister and close confidant of Sheikh Hasina. Before her recent removal amid massive student protests, he was known as her son, revelling in luxury, from baby Croc shoes to ultra-luxury suits, as revealed by Al Jazeera's The Minister's Millions investigation. Now under Bangladesh's new interim government, chaired by Muhammad Yunus, who demands full transparency, Chowdhury's assets have come under scrutiny. In the UK, Tulip Siddiq, niece of Hasina and former UK City Minister, has faced political pressure over her family ties, although she denies any wrongdoing. Chowdhury's political ascent mirrored the centralisation of power around Sheikh Hasina, who ruled Bangladesh for over 15 years with increasing authoritarian control. He was not just a minister, but a symbol of the regime's wealth. Reports revealed he travelled extensively, hosted lavish parties, and was often pictured in ultra-luxury clothing and accessories, despite modest official earnings. International observers had long warned that Bangladesh's rapid economic growth was not being fairly distributed, and figures like Chowdhury epitomised that divide. His connection to UK politics through Tulip Siddiq, a sitting British MP and Hasina's niece, added layers of diplomatic tension to this unfolding case. What's been seized? According to High Court orders granted on 5th of June 2025, 342 UK properties, luxury homes in St John's Wood, apartment blocks in Fitzrovia and more are collectively worth 170 to 185 million. These properties can't be sold, rented or transferred while the civil money laundering investigation proceeds. This isn't the first case. Bangladesh's financial authorities also requested freezes on 2 Rahman dynasty members, resulting in 90 million frozen in May. The High Court's decision was not taken lightly. Investigators presented a mountain of financial data, shell company records and property transactions believed to be linked to laundering schemes. The properties were acquired through various trusts and front companies, many registered in offshore jurisdictions known for secrecy. Among the seized properties were high-end developments, rental portfolios in central London, and a country estate once used for private political gatherings. The breadth value of the assets made this one of the most significant seizures of its kind in UK legal history. Let's rewind. September 2024. Student-led protests oust Sheikh Hasina's regime. Post-revolution, Bangladesh establishes an asset recovery task force under Yunus and central banker Hassan Mansour. High Court rulings in early June 2025 allow UK enforcement. 12th June 2025, NCA publicly confirms the freeze of Chowdhury's 342 properties. Following Sheikh Hasina's ousting, Bangladesh faced international scrutiny and mounting pressure to reclaim its stolen wealth. The newly installed transitional government launched Operation Accountability, a coordinated effort with the UK's NCA, Transparency International, and financial watchdogs across Europe and Asia.
Massive corruption by the head of the army, corruption by the head of police.
This coordinated campaign marked a rare instance of emerging nations actively reclaiming assets in former colonial hubs.
Corruption by every single institution, corrupt practices and so on. Nothing gets done.
The case also reignited debates about the UK's role as a safe haven for global kleptocrats, with MPs and anti-corruption activists calling for reform of property transparency laws. Why was this crackdown launched? Bangladesh's interim government claims that roughly $234 billion was illicitly siphoned abroad during Hasina's 15-year tenure, using dodgy loans, inflated contracts, and illicit profits from infrastructure projects. Transparency International has applauded the UK's action, but warns more assets may be hidden, calling for expanded investigations. Chowdhury disputes the allegations, calling it a politicised witch hunt, insisting his wealth came from legitimate global business. Evidence presented included bank transfers through layered accounts, property purchases with no clear source of income, and witness testimony from whistleblowers inside Bangladesh's Ministry of Land. One leaked memo suggested Chowdhury had been warned internally about unexplained wealth multiple times, but political connections shielded him from scrutiny. Meanwhile, Transparency International stressed that this case should be a model for future global collaboration on financial crimes. They called for stricter beneficial ownership registers, mandatory reporting for luxury estate agents, and more robust cross-border asset tracking. This is not just a story about wealth and power, it's a testament to how international crime, diplomacy, and asset recovery intersect. Chowdhury's $170 million UK real estate empire stands frozen today, but the final verdict is still to come. If the UK courts find evidence of money laundering, these assets could be repatriated to Bangladesh, a major win for anti-corruption. But this case also raises deeper questions. How do wealthy political elites exploit global financial secrecy? Will the UK stand firm against political pressure, even when tied to high-profile figures like the niece of a former Prime Minister? We'll be watching the evolving story closely. You've been watching The Crime Channel. Let us know, should these freezes go further? And how far are you willing to go to recover ill-gotten gains? Subscribe for global crime stories, investigations and follow-ups only on The Crime Channel. Legal experts say it may take months or even years before a final decision is reached. If criminal wrongdoing is proven, UK courts could permanently seize the assets and return proceeds to Bangladesh's government. However, Chowdhury's lawyers are expected to fight the case vigorously, likely arguing that the seizures are politically motivated and that due process was violated. This landmark case has also prompted the UK government to reassess its role in global anti-money laundering efforts. As one NCA official put it, "We're closing the doors to dirty money, one asset at a time." But how long can the UK balance economic openness with global financial justice?